The summit is a critical inflection point in our efforts to build a better world through better cooperation through nations. It will look at issues of peace and security, notably Security Council reform. We hope we will see some of the most progressive move towards Security Council reform since the 1960s. It will look at issues of architecture of the international financial institution, how to make it more fair, more representative, and better equipped to finance the Sustainable Development Goals. A lot on the digital front, on artificial intelligence, on digital cooperation. So, in a sense, if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals that were adopted in 2015, they were the why. Why do we need to build a better world on issues of health, of human rights, on the environment, on gender, all of these issues. This summit will lay out the how. How do we do it? Because what is clear is that the institutions that we have, the multilateral institutions that we have, are no longer as representative as they should be and as fair as they should be.
So the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he's also going to address the summit. What will you say on that and on India's role when it comes to this forum?
Well, we're very pleased, first of all, that the Prime Minister will be here. India is such a strong and powerful voice globally, but also especially for the global south. We've also seen India's leadership most recently in the G20 on all sorts of issues. And I think if you look at India, this summit is so important because it will talk about Security Council reform, and we know how important that is to India. It will talk about issues of digital cooperation. We know the kind of leadership role that India has in this, and on the reform of the international financial institutions, which is also critically important to India.
Right. So last question. You mentioned about the security reforms. India has also been pitching for a permanent seat at UNSC. How important do you think that India should be there on the table when it comes to P5?
Well, what is clear to the Secretary General is that the Security Council, as it is today, is representative of the world of 1945, not of 2024. So many countries, when the Security Council was established, when the Charter was established, were not even at the table, right? And India was not at the table. We know that India gained its independence in 1947. The Charter dates from 1945. There are so many regions, so many countries that are underrepresented and whose voices are not heard. And we very much hope that member states will find the path forward to ensure that we have a Security Council that is much more reflective of the world that we live in.
So last question. There are also, two ongoing wars going on, and you know that India has been calling for peace and dialogue and diplomacy in the two ongoing conflicts. Certainly, we'll see that too mentioned in the summit of the future. How do you think that India plays an important role?
Well, the voice of Prime Minister Modi, the voice of India in diplomacy, is a very loud one and a very important one. And I think we all share the goal to find an end to these conflicts in line with the Charter of the United Nations, in line with international law, and in line with the territorial integrity of nations.